What's going on, world? I am Chris McPherson, and I'm pleased to be here with you another day. You could have been anywhere, and you decided to be right here, and that is a great thing. For a moment, I want to borrow your attention and talk about worrying and how we can overcome it. Let's face it, sometimes we may tend to worry. And worrying is anytime that we put our thoughts before our actions in a situation. Worrying can occur because we are so focused on the situation mentally and the outcome of what it can or cannot be that we sometimes overthink the situation. I've learned in my personal experience that worrying about a situation never makes it any better. And in fact, worrying can make it worse. Some of you may have heard the phrase a worry wart, or you worry yourself sick, or you worry yourself to death. Well, these things can absolutely be the physical attributes of a mental state of thinking because we are overanalyzing or being paralyzed by a situation. So, this week we want to talk about some simple tips to help you get over the anxiety and stress of worrying and really focus on getting the outcome that you desire. So, the first thing we can do to overcome worrying is to accept the situation. If you're familiar with the Serenity Prayer, the first stanza says, God, grant me the serenity to accept things I cannot change. And we must start there. You see, acceptance of the situation, regardless of how good or bad it is, allows us to be fully present in the moment wherever we are. Sometimes it's tough to accept where we are in a situation, but the catch is we'll never be able to move from there if we don't analyze and be real about where we are. You see, when you're truthful for yourself and to yourself, you won't be able to tell a lie to others. Acceptance of where you are in any situation is the way that we can overcome that and work to make it better. So we must start with accepting the situation. Next, we simply move on to considering the best outcome. Worrying can be a situation based on our mind conjuring the worst situations. If you think of it in the analogy of somebody who has to take an examination or a test, and they're worried about how they're going to do, we can allow this to overcome our minds. And if we continue to worry about the test, we worry about the exam, if it's something that we have to take the next day, we may lose sleep over that. We may not eat over that. We may be in a situation to where we have paralysis by analysis, so to speak, to where we've overthought it and now we do nothing. We are stuck in a sunken place because we don't know how to get out. Well, we must be conscious that in order to overcome the situation, we must consider the best options. Instead of worrying about what the worst can be, think about the positives. Think about how you can do well on that exam. Think about how you can do the best on that test. And think about the accolades and success that are going to follow you after you do just that. So first is accepting where we are in the situation and being honest with ourselves. Second is to consider the best scenario and work towards that. And really the third point is work towards that. You see, if we are going to get the best outcome and overcome our worries, we've got to work at it. Again, consider that testing analogy. If we worry about how we're going to do on the test and never study, we can't get the best outcome. But if we take away the thought of oversleeping or we take away the thought of failure and we simply say, hey, I'm dedicated, I'm focused, I know I can retain this material, I know I can get a great grade, I know I can learn what is needed, and we work towards that, that is the outcome we're going to have. You see, a lot of times worrying allows us to only look at the negative. And worrying starts in one place just like everything else, and that's in the mind. But we can worry about it more than we work for it. And if we do that, we're never going to achieve that goal. However, I suggest that you work for it more than you're ever going to worry or think about it. Let your actions dictate the results that you're going to get. And if you truly put in the effort, you won't have to worry about a thing because everything will run its natural course. So again, if we're worrying about a situation, in order to overcome that, we must accept where we are in the situation, no matter how good or bad it is. Second, we must consider the positives, the best case scenario, the optimum of what can be. And simply number three, we must work towards that. And I promise you, if you do that following these 3 steps, you'll be able to put worry to the side and really begin to focus and achieve anything that you're willing to work for. So remember, my friends, this is the positive place where we come to discuss, learn, and think about all things positive. My goal in putting out some healthy tidbits is to give you some food for thought that'll help you along your way in your journey of becoming your best self. You know, we can overanalyze many things, and worrying is one thing that'll never make it better. If we continue to worry, we can put ourselves in a rut that is not healthy for us. And the physical realm of our minds taking over our bodies is no good unless we are working for it in a positive nature. Because if you keep negative thoughts in the mind, you're then going to have negative actions and then produce negative results. But instead of that, we should have positive thoughts, which will lead to positive actions, and we will produce positive results. Remember, worrying about something is only where you should begin in going through the steps of how you're going to work to achieve the goal that you have. And if you're willing to put in the effort, I promise you, over time, you will achieve the result. You know, also on a spiritual cosmic level, worrying is something that we shouldn't do because it counterbalances our ability to then create what we truly want in the world. I've heard it said that we should not be lukewarm, that you should be hot or either cold. I've also heard this said that you shouldn't say can't, because if you say can't, the universe may hear you and give you less of what blessing it had for you in return. You see, if we psychologically think that we're not going to get an outcome, we won't. But if we truly believe that we can get the outcome that we desire, we will. So worrying then is a way of tricking ourselves, so to speak. We are then focused on it mentally more than we are in our actions, and we shouldn't do that. We should have blind faith and believe that anything we want to achieve is possible if we put in the thought, actions, and effort and simply work towards it. So again, my friends, let's not worry about any situation more than we're willing to work for it. Just start where you are, accept the situation, consider the best alternatives, and simply work towards those. And I promise you, your levels of anxiety, your levels of stress, your levels of restlessness or anything else that you are in will start to subside, because you will be focused on the best case scenario. You will be putting your actions towards that, and that's what you will ultimately get. Now, by any means, don't believe that it will just happen overnight, because nothing does. But over many nights, as you get better, the situation will get better as well. But you must be dedicated to sticking with it. After all, it's possible.
Look me in my face, I ain't got no words, I ain't got no words.